Welcome to the debate. It is Friday, February 27th, 2026. And if you've been brave enough to look at a trading screen this week, well, you really don't need me to tell you it's incredibly ugly out there. The NASDAQ is bleeding, but specifically, the legacy software sector is just being absolutely decimated right now.
Yeah, ugly is an understatement. We are witnessing what the financial press has finally, and I'd say belatedly, dubbed the SaaSpocalypse.
The SaaSpocalypse, exactly. We're living through a market transition that is as violent as it is fascinating.
It really is. I mean, we've seen over $1 trillion wiped from legacy software stock valuations in just the last 3 weeks. And the wild part is, this is happening at the exact same moment that we are getting confirmed reports of humanoid robots hitting cost parity with minimum wage labor. It's this incredibly jarring contrast. You have digital valuations crashing while physical automation suddenly becomes entirely affordable.
Right. It's a perfect storm of digital deflation and physical automation. And that brings us to the central question we are tackling today. We are deep in the era of Agentic AI. These are systems that act. They don't just chat. And we're in the middle of what's being called the Great Cognitive Shift. So the question for everyone listening is this. Do you double down on technical integration to ride this wave of autonomy?
Or is the smartest move actually a full retreat to the physical frontier, meaning the trades, healthcare, tangible assets, basically escaping the volatility and the work slop of the digital world?
I'll be taking the position that this inflection point rewards aggressive adaptation. The move right now is to embrace Agentic AI, invest in the new infrastructure of robotics and crypto, and acquire the technical skills to orchestrate these systems.
And I will be arguing that the aggressive tech play, the one that worked for the last decade, is now the dangerous one. We need a defensive return to human centricity. The digital world has become a liability, a literal bubble bursting in real time. So I believe the smart money is pivoting to AI-proof physical careers and tangible assets.
Well, let's just jump right into it. I think the argument that the tech sector is crashing is it's missing the forest for the trees. You have to look at exactly what is crashing. We have moved past the hype phase of 2024 and 2025. We are now in the phase of operational autonomy. The reason legacy software stocks like Salesforce or Adobe, the reason they are crashing is because their business model is dead.
Seat-based pricing.
Yes, seat-based pricing. They charge per human user. But AI agents are replacing those human users, so of course those specific stocks are down. But the new economy is booming. We are seeing the rise of agentic AI systems that execute complex workflows. They plan, they reason, and they act. This intelligence explosion is projected to add $13 trillion to the global economy by 2030. My core thesis today is that the winner in 2026 is the system orchestrator. You have to learn to manage these agents, integrate the robots, and leverage decentralized finance to secure wealth. The risk isn't in moving forward, it's in standing still.
I see the shifting wealth, but I see it evaporating into thin air for the average worker. You call it optimization. I call it a crisis of quality and solvency. We are seeing a 49% year-over-year spike in commercial bankruptcies in this first quarter of 2026 alone. That is not optimization, that's destruction. And let's talk about the product itself, because we are drowning in work slop.
Work slop. I keep hearing this term from skeptics. Define it for the listeners, just so we're on the exact same page.
Sure, work slop is the new spam. It is low-quality, hallucinated AI output that looks plausible, but is functionally useless. Or worse, factually wrong. It creates more work for humans to fix. Productivity is actually draining in many sectors because of this. Look at companies like Klarna. They famously cut staff for AI a couple of years ago, and reports now indicate they are having to rehire humans at a premium to fix quality issues that the bots botched. So my thesis is that the great cognitive shift is devaluing knowledge work rapidly. The smartest play is a retreat to reality, focusing on physical jobs like nursing, tangible assets, and skills requiring high emotional intelligence that machines simply cannot replicate.
I think you are focusing on the growing pains of a toddler and calling it a failed adult. But let's bring this down to brass tacks. We promised our audience actionable insights today. So let's talk about career strategy. If I'm a mid-level professional or a student looking at the landscape in 2026, what degrees or skills should I pursue?
If you want my honest advice, you look at the tech-to-trades trend. It is very real right now. 62% of workers are currently eyeing skilled trades for stability, and they are right to do so. The data is clear. High-wage cognitive roles, specifically those in the 80th percentile of earnings.
And mid-level managers?
Exactly. Mid-level financial analysts, junior lawyers, copywriters. They are the most exposed to automation. That middle layer of the corporate ladder is just gone. So if you're picking a degree, you look at nursing. The unemployment risk in nursing is currently sitting at 0.6%. That is effectively zero. Or look at biomanufacturing. We need people to physically manage the bioreactors for gene therapies. Or civil engineering.
Civil engineering is interesting, but
It's vital. We need humans to sign off on the safety of bridges and tunnels. That liability cannot be outsourced to an algorithm. You cannot sue a chatbot when a bridge collapses.
Liability is a fair point, and we'll touch on that. But I don't disagree that mid-level cognitive work is exposed. That's the danger zone. But the answer isn't just, go swing a hammer. That is a massive overcorrection. The answer is to upgrade your cognitive stack. I advocate for the power trio of skills. If you are in college or upskilling, this is your curriculum. First, Python and AI literacy. You need to understand how the models actually think and structure data. Second, smart contract engineering, specifically Solidity or Rust. And third, regulatory awareness.
But listen to yourself. You are telling people to retrain in highly technical fields that the AI itself is getting better at every single day. GPT-6 is already writing better Solidity code than most junior devs. You're asking people to race against a Ferrari on foot.
No, I'm asking them to drive the Ferrari. It writes the code, yes, but it doesn't orchestrate the system. Look at the median salaries. An AI engineer in 2026 is pulling in a median of $149K to $180K. A smart contract auditor is making up to $230K. Because you need a human to verify the logic and manage the integration. You have to build a digital doppelganger.
A digital doppelganger.
Yes, you train an agent on your specific email style, your specific decision-making framework, your workflows. It handles the drudgery so you can focus on high-level strategy. That is how you survive the cognitive shift. And you're ignoring the new hybrid roles that bridge our two viewpoints. Look at the humanoid systems integrator.
The warehouse jobs.
it's a highly paid warehouse job. It pays between $110K and $160K. You are on the factory floor ensuring the robots are interacting correctly with the physical environment. It bridges your physical reality with my digital necessity.
That is a niche role for a handful of tech-forward factories. For the vast majority of white-collar workers who want to stay at a desk, I would point toward human-in-the-loop services. If you are going to stay in knowledge work, you have to move upmarket to where clients pay a premium for human oversight. High-end law, complex healthcare diagnostics, ethics compliance. The more AI creates that work slot, the more valuable a verified, accountable human becomes.
I accept that human verification has a premium, but you seem to think we can just opt out of the digital layer entirely. Let's pivot to the market itself, because this connects to people's 401ks, their savings, where they should be investing their capital right now.
Gladly, because you mentioned the SaaS collapse earlier. Companies like Salesforce, Adobe, HubSpot, they have taken massive hits. To me, this signals that the entire digital investment thesis is shaking.
It signals a changing of the guard. The SaaS crash is a massive buy signal, but only for the new guard. You have to look at business models. The old seat-based pricing, charging $50 a month per user, is dying because companies are reducing headcount. Why pay for a seat for a human who isn't there? The actionable insight for investors is to look for companies using outcome-based pricing.
Explain that distinction for the listeners who might be looking at their portfolios right now.
Instead of charging for access to the software tool, these new companies charge for the result. They charge per lead generated, or per customer service ticket resolved, or per contract audited. That model works perfectly in an autonomous economy, where bots do the work. It scales without human bottlenecks. If you were stock picking, you will look for the SaaS companies that have pivoted to outcome-based revenue models. Those are the survivors.
I think that is incredibly risky.
You are completely ignoring the private credit time bomb that is ticking right now.
You're talking about the shadow bank exposure.
It is not a shadow bank theory, it is a balance sheet reality. There is about $600 billion in exposure to SaaS companies held by private credit lenders, non-bank lenders. These loans were made based on recurring revenue projections from seat-based models that are now evaporating. If these SaaS valuations keep collapsing, that debt goes bad. It could trigger a wider financial crisis similar to 2008, but focused entirely on corporate debt. And you also have to consider the BOFA paradox.
The Bank of America report.
Right. They highlighted this massive catch-22. If AI works, it disrupts the software revenue model, crashing the stock. If AI fails, the billions spent on NVIDIA chips and data centers are wasted, crashing the stock. Both roads lead to a severe repricing of tech. So my advice? Avoid middleman industries entirely. BPO, business process outsourcing, is getting slaughtered. Legacy retail is vulnerable. Template-based creative agencies are done.
So where do you put your money?
You go boring. Physical infrastructure, utilities, companies with tangible assets that exist off-screen. If you want actionable advice, buy physical real estate. Buy land with water rights, things that an AI cannot hallucinate into existence.
But even real estate is changing. You're thinking of buying a rental property and dealing with clogged toilets. This brings me to tokenization of real-world assets, or RWA. BlackRock is actively moving bonds and real estate on-chain right now. This is where the liquidity is going. You can invest in fractionalized physical assets through digital rails. It's the ultimate convergence of your physical world and my digital one.
It is also the convergence of extreme complexity and risk. Which brings us to crypto. You are still bullish on DeFi, aren't you?
Absolutely, I am. Decentralized finance has matured to enterprise grade this year. Look at the volume. Stable coins, which are just digital dollars on the blockchain, are now overtaking ACH and Visa in transaction volume. We are talking $24 trillion in volume.
24 trillion?
Yes, 24 trillion. That is the new settlement layer of the global economy. It's instant, it's 24/7, and it's programmable. If you aren't using stablecoins for yield or settlement, you're using fax machine technology in a fiber optic world. The actionable advice here is to look at yield-bearing stablecoins. You can get 5 to 7% on your cash simply because you are cutting out the banking middleman.
But the volatility is still stomach-churning for the average person. Look at Bitcoin. It round-tripped the low 90Ks recently after hitting highs. That isn't a store of value. It's a roller coaster, and the regulatory risk is massive. We have the Clarity Act and the Genius Act in the US trying to shape this, but it is still the Wild West.
The volatility is the price of entry for the best-performing asset class in history. Prediction markets are pricing equal odds of Bitcoin hitting 50K or 250K by year-end. That tells me it is the ultimate hedge against the $50 trillion sovereign debt wall. It's a binary bet. Either the fiat system holds or Bitcoin wins. And for those looking to build businesses, explore DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. They are managing multi-million-dollar treasuries now. It's a new corporate structure entirely, without the traditional overhead.
It is a structure rife with fraud. We have seen insider trading scandals in prediction markets just this past month. And let's not forget the cost of cybercrime, $10.5 trillion globally, driven largely by AI-enhanced hacking. The very tools you love are being used to drain wallets. For the average listener, asset tokenization and DAOs are just too complex and risky. Protecting your wealth means owning a physical home, land, or gold bars in a safe, not a digital token representing them.
We are going to disagree on the vehicle, but maybe we can agree on the destination, which is physical reality. You mentioned robots earlier, how they are hitting parity with minimum wage. I see them as the definitive solution to the labor shortage. We are missing 425,000 workers in construction alone. Robots are the only way we build the housing and infrastructure we need.
I remain very skeptical of general-purpose robots in unstructured environments. A factory floor is one thing. It's clean, it's predictable, it's flat. A custom home build site with mud, rain, changing plans, and scattered tools is an entirely different universe. I do not see robots replacing the master carpenter or the plumber anytime soon.
Maybe not the master, but the apprentice? Absolutely. The Figure 02 and Unitree G1 models are already on sites hauling materials, tying rebar, doing the dangerous repetitive tasks, and the unit economics are insane. These humanoids are coming in under $30,000 per unit. That is cheaper than a single year of minimum wage labor almost anywhere in the West. And the robot works 3 shifts a day without complaining.
The sticker price is low, sure, but
The ROI is undeniable. It pays for itself in under 10 months. So the actionable insight here for investors is to buy the companies automating the physical frontier. And if you don't want to buy Tesla or Figure directly, look at the component manufacturers, the companies making the servos, the specialized batteries, the spatial vision systems. That is the classic pick and shovel play of the 2020s.
I hear the pitch, but I will reiterate my core stance. Nursing and personal care are the ultimate safe havens, precisely because they require what a robot cannot give. A robot lacks empathy. It lacks clinical judgment.
Does it? Because AI diagnostics are currently outperforming doctors in radiology?
Diagnostics, yes. Delivery of care, no. In a world where everything is automated and synthesized, the human touch commands a massive premium. We are seeing this right now in the knowledge process outsourcing sector. Clients are happily paying extra for guarantees that a human reviewed the work. The pivot here is to maximize your soft skills. Negotiation, conflict resolution, ethical oversight, things an agent can't do.
I see why you value the human touch, but I think you're severely underestimating the speed of the intelligence explosion. We aren't just talking about chatbots anymore. We are talking about systems that can natively reason.
But reasoning requires accountability. And right now, when an AI messes up a contract or a dosage, who is liable? That is exactly why we're seeing a boom in regulatory awareness and compliance roles.
Agreed. Which is why I included regulatory awareness in my power trio of skills earlier. You absolutely need to know the rules of the road to drive the fast car.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. Careers, stocks, crypto, real estate. What is the final word for our audience trying to navigate 2026?
My final word is this. The great reckoning the headlines are screaming about is actually a great optimization. Do not cling to the old seat-based economy or legacy software roles. Learn to orchestrate agents. That means getting comfortable with Python and systems thinking. Invest in the physical infrastructure that powers AI, like energy and robotics, and embrace the blockchain rails that move value, specifically stablecoins and tokenized assets. The biggest risk you face in 2026 is standing still while the world accelerates around you.
And I come at it from a completely different direction. Technology is currently breaking more than it fixes. The SaaS crash and the commercial bankruptcy spike are clear evidence of that. My advice is to insulate yourself from the digital chaos. Build skills that require hands, heart, and critical thinking. The trades, nursing, ethics compliance. Protect your wealth and assets that exist off-screen. Land, physical businesses, commodities. When the power goes out or the digital bubble fully bursts, you want to be holding something real.
2 very different paths for a highly bifurcated year.
Indeed. 2026 is the year of bifurcation. The gap between the AI native and the legacy economies widening every day.
And our listeners must actively choose which side of that divide to stand on.
Thanks for listening to The Debate.